want to keep your eyes on a couple of stocks right now. Moderna. Not Johnson & Johnson, but Moderna, because shares of this stock, they popped today. They were up more than 5%, then up at about 10%. Right now, they're trading up around 7, almost 8%. Here's what's going on. So we learned the news about Johnson & Johnson. We're going to be dealing that throughout the show today with their vaccine, not as effective in the real world, perhaps as Moderna and Pfizer. So Moderna shares got a pop on that. There's also new data out of Israel, which leads the world in inoculations. That data shows the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines may actually be, are you ready for this, more effective than first thought in those initial studies. So I want you to know, too, the 52-week shares for Moderna, they've been between $17 and $196. Then there is American Airlines. There's a lot going on with the airlines today. American reported yesterday. Today they're selling off. They're off by about 6%. Couple of headlines to keep in mind with American. First, there's the Reddit Wall Street Bets crowd. They are trying to do a short squeeze here. They got a pop on Thursday. The shares were up this week about 8%. And on Thursday, just yesterday, they skyrocketed. Part of what was going on here, too, is the fact that Doug Parker over at American in the earnings call talked about the need, are you ready for this? More government help, because this is the second payroll support program for the airlines will expire in March. By the way, United Airlines just said about an hour ago that 14,000 jobs are threatened if the airlines don't get more assistance from the federal government. This is just a way for me to say we got Delta's CEO on next week. And of course, we're going to be asking him about that. Don't forget, too, American Airlines, they lost $2.2 billion in the last quarter. Seana?
Certainly, we'll have a lot to talk about next week during that interview. Adam, I'm looking at two stocks that are under pressure today. First, let's take a look at Caterpillar. Now, not, I guess, relative to the rest of the market, is holding up okay. Caterpillar off just around 0.5% right now. They're out with earnings. Their earnings per share coming in at $2.12. That was well above the street's consensus. But to put in perspective for everybody, it's a 22% decline from what they reported a year ago. Revenue, though, coming in line with expectations. Caterpillar did not give 2021 guidance, citing the, quote, continued uncertainty due to the pandemic. You can see some of that reflected in today's stock price as Caterpillar drops along with the broader market, but Caterpillar shares off just around 0.4%. Then switching over to Eli Lilly, they were also out with quarterly results. They beat on earnings per share and revenue. Profit was $2.75. Sales of $7.4 billion. The results driven by COVID-19 antibody treatment, also their diabetes drugs. Yet you're seeing the stock under pressure right now, off just around 1%. Eli Lilly initially was up on these results before falling with the broader market. So it's two big names here to keep on your radar. But we need to get to the story of the day, and it's really been the story of the week, and that's the short squeeze that's underway. Retail traders today stepping back in after yesterday's losses, sending names like GameStop and AMC up just around 50% right now. Jared Blickery, help us make sense of where we are at this point.
Ooh, we need a lot of help there because there's so many dynamics to this. We've learned so much this week. T+2 settlement, I think that happened in the last 24 hours. Haven't hit rehypothecation yet. Repo market, that's always in vogue. But let's go straight to the charts here. I'm kind of kidding around, but this is a serious matter because we have options expiration into the close. This is a weekly options expiration, not the monthly. But you look at this heat map, there's a little bit more red than we're used to seeing. Adam was talking about American Airlines. That's down 6% today, well off of its highs from Thursday's open when it was up over 80%. But also GameStop, that's up nearly 50%, 344% over the last 5 days. And you got to be wondering how many shares are going to get assigned over the weekend into Monday from those call options that all the Wall Street bet buyers have been buying to their accounts. So is this going to continue into next week? Possibly. But let's take a look at the sorted performance here. We have costs up the most. That's up 1,900% this week. This is over the last 5 days, followed by Blockbuster Video up 1,233%, well off of its highs as well. And then GameStop up 350%, AMC, Express, they're just a little bit less. But you get the picture here. We had the CEO of Robinhood on a little bit earlier, seemed very cautious about what he was saying. I commend him for coming on the program here, as well as all the other news networks to make his case, because some of these guys, they just go into hiding. But nevertheless, this is the story of the day, the week, probably not the year, but we're going to be following this into next week. Should be interesting, guys.